Welcome to today's edition of 3 Minute Halacha. What do you do with a Lulav and Etrog after Sukkot is over? And for that matter, what do we do with schach that needs to be disposed of? To understand the halacha, we need to realize that there are 5 categories of things that are used either in a sacred manner or for a mitzvah itself. The first is the kedusha associated with sacred writings, a sefer Torah, tefillin, or mezuzot. That's the highest level. Then comes those items known as tashmishe kedusha, objects which serve to beautify the kedusha objects, such as a mantle of a sefer Torah or the Aron Kodesh itself. The third category are those that are tashmishe kedusha, objects which are one step removed and serve to protect the tashmishe kedusha. Think about a plastic tefillin bag which goes over the velvet tefillin bag. The velvet tefillin bag is a tashmish kedusha, and the plastic over it is tashmishe kedusha. And then comes those objects that are actually used for mitzvot themselves, such as a lulav, an etrog, or a shofar, or schach. Those are things that we use for the purpose of a mitzvah, but once the time of the mitzvah is gone, there are ways to dispose of them. And then finally, there are the tashmishe mitzvah, those things that are one step removed. For example, an Etrog box would be one example of these kinds of things, or a parochet in front of an Aron Kodesh. Each of them have different ways of disposing of them with proper honor and kavod. When it comes to items of kedusha, they require absolute geniza. Now, geniza really means putting them in a place where they can be stored with a certain element of dignity. However, nowadays, halacha also permits burying those items, and that would apply to both the kedusha items, say for Torah, tefillin, and mezuzot, and those things that are used by them, the tefillin bags, or even books, sfarim, which are used for sacred study. Both can be buried. However, when it comes to a sefer Torah, tefillin, and mezuzot, these things have to be encased, sealed, either classically in an earthenware vessel or in a hard plastic casing, and they're buried actually in a Jewish cemetery. Whereas the other items in Aron Kodesh, books, foreign benchers, etc., can be buried in some other place where there's an element of dignity associated with it, but not necessarily in a cemetery itself, and that's mentioned in the Mishnah Brura in Kuf Nun Nehei Siv Katan Chaf Bet. When it comes to those things that are one step removed, the tashmishe kedusha, they really require no special method of disposal, but it's still recommended by many poskim. See the Kaf HaChaim in Reish Tzadi Zayin Siv Katan Yud Aleph, that to show honor and respect, it's appropriate to dispose of these items in a dignified manner. The same applies to used mitzvah objects, the lulav, the etrog, and the schach. Although there is a minority opinion which holds that these items should receive standard geniza, and the Ramah praises someone who does so in Siman Chaf Aleph, Sif Aleph. The basic halacha and the custom is to follow the opinion that it's permitted to discard of these items in a dignified manner, and therefore the lulav and etrog can be wrapped up or placed in a bag and then put in a garbage can, which is a clean trash per se, or they can be burned, which is the source of the custom to burn them along with beer chametz at the time of Pesach. It is also permissible, according to the letter of the law, to just leave those objects at a clean place with full knowledge that someone else will come along and dispose of them, as mentioned in the Mishnah Brura and Chaf Aleph Zayin. And that's the case often with what we do with the schach, where you may put it in an alley, in a clean place, knowing full well that the garbage men may come and take them afterwards. Objects which were accessories to performing a mitzvah, the tashmishe mitzvah, once again, require no special method of disposal, could be thrown out, and yet still recommended to show an element of honor and respect to the mitzvah. Again, wrapping them in plastic and throwing them out in a way that would still maintain an element of dignity and kavod. The lulav and etrog, wrap them up. They can be disposed of in clean trash, or they can be burned. The schach can also be taken care of that way, or simply put out near the garbage, knowing full well that someone else is going to pick them up and throw them out, but you've placed them in a clean place.